Nagwara ngidana maisha za Maasai ndio ndio Maasai. Ama tanto na danya Maasai tanto na sarabia nda. Nagwara nyara do ngishuti ato Maasai na. Nyede ya nda Maasai.
I'm spending a couple of days with the Kime family, and I've just arrived as 77-year-old Takiata Kime sits down for a rest after bringing his cattle home. This is his daily routine after a long day in the field, searching for grazing areas. Now, his sons and wives take over the evening's duties. The cows are milked, fed, and put to bed in a neighboring room of the same hut in which the family sleeps. For Maasai men, the number of cattle in one's herd determines your wealth and prestige in the community. By this measurement, Kime and his family are middle class. But Kime has a problem. Half of his cattle are stuck on the other side of a flooded river, over 40 miles away.
We didn't expect the rain at this month.
Takiata's nephew, Johanna Kime, is a marathon runner, home for a weekend visit. His English is excellent, so he explains the problem to me.
We had a lot of rain, so much, and the rivers were flooded, and the cows just were stuck there.
This is supposed to be the dry season, so the weather has everyone confused.
Amo kello tanado de tanada lava no lembara yusho langolo. Leta nada ligiti. Na ni yeti wala kai. Ne agora lava tanada le lukuni. Na ni nyoshi yara yosiliki. Ni nyoshi asha yudo ne to idealo. Lola di belega nyore tanada ta kolava ni kyadan.
Not that he's complaining. This region is increasingly drought prone, so rain anytime is welcome. But to go from drought to drowning doesn't really help. The weekly cattle market is the cornerstone of the Maasai economy, and sales here depend on the kind of steady rains that once were the norm in Kenya. These days, Takiata sells less cattle here because there haven't been the steady rains for at least a decade.
Kabasha. Ravana mela mingisha pa ni wolengi. Amo medunga banko tamparari. Hagu mete gwe ni mepu.
Takiata lost over 50% of his cattle to drought since the early 2000s. Losses like that have a big impact on Maasai families. But it's not just the Maasai economy that's tied to a predictable climate. It's also the culture. And for members of the younger generation, like Takiata's nephew, Johanna, it's more and more challenging to be a pastoralist.
You know, now droughts are coming and climate change, so a lot of cows are dying during the droughts, so it's making them to look for the other options.
But with the other options, it's often impossible to wear the colorful Maasai attire called the shuka. Johanna certainly can't wear it as a runner, and his brothers and sisters are very westernized as well.
So I have worried that the Maasai culture is really going down.
Johanna's concern about the decline in the Maasai culture is validated on new farms like the one owned by Noah Ole Nyotiek. The first obvious sign of change is Nyotiek's chickens, which the Maasai used to dislike almost as much as farming. Nyotiek was a pastoralist like Takiata Kime until just a few years ago.
2004, 2005, that is the time we lost a lot of our cows, and that's why I decided now to be in a small farm, to put a garden and see what is coming in.
Like Kime, Nyotiek also lost over half of his cattle.
It was hard that time. I didn't get money to pay for my children school fees, and I didn't get a lot of food in my house.
Nyotiek settled onto a small plot of land and installed modern, efficient irrigation technology.
This is when you want to save your water, you use the drip irrigation system.
Nyotiek's tidy rows of corn, beans, and kale are the picture of a prosperous farm, but not of Maasai culture. Now 39, Notiek wears Western clothes, watches TV on his couch, and drives a car instead of cattle. And as elsewhere in the region, here in Insignia, many authentic Maasai traditions like music, dance, and the colorful shukas are increasingly reserved for ceremonies and tourists. Of course, climate change is not the only threat to the Maasai culture, but it is the one that frightens them the most. It's ironic that Takiata originally drove his cattle all the way out here due to lack of rain back home. Now, too much rain has prevented them from returning. But of the two evils, Takiata is far more fearful of drought.
Climate
modelers back up Takiata's fears. They say the Maasai can expect more drought, but also more floods, as the future brings more extreme weather to East Africa. Given all of the headaches, I asked Takiata if he'd consider farming.
A
practical but clearly unenthusiastic answer. Like most Maasai, Takiata is stoic amid his difficulties. He doesn't say it, but it's clear that the loss of his cattle and this way of life would be tremendously painful. But his nephew Johanna has a dream for the future.
I can run, and when I win maybe one marathon, I can buy a lot of cows.